Hello and welcome back to the channel. Amber here, joined with Laura, and we are talking about the finale, House of the Dragon, the Queen Who Ever Was. Was that it? Was that the name of it?
That is the name.
Okay. Saying it out loud felt weird, but because this episode was titled that, the Queen Who Ever Was, I've got a little game planned out, and it's called The Scene That Never Was. I'm gonna give you a couple of scenes, and I want you to choose what you would rather see.
Okay.
But the other thing is, after you pick which scene you would rather have, you have to pick a scene that you would have deleted from season 2.
Okay.
So the first choice is, would you rather see everyone's reaction to Luke's death or more of Cregan Stark?
Ooh. I'm going to go more Cregan Stark only because, like, I feel like the reaction to Lucerys' death is pretty predictable.
True.
Ooh, now what would I have deleted?
Well, I would have liked to see more from Aemond's side and get to know, like, how he really felt about it. If he was just like, oh, it was an accident, or if he was secretly like, ha ha ha, everyone's gonna think it was an accident. You know, because it's still kind of unclear.
Yeah, because it's right up his alley to, like, be like, ha ha ha, everyone thinks it's an accident.
Right. I mean, he has no problem absolutely like nuking his brother. So, I mean, Luke, why would he care?
But the real question is, would he have always been okay with nuking his brother, or is he more okay with it after killing Lucerys?
Oh, like he got a little taste for it.
Well, not just that, but think about like the Jaime Lannister effect. So Jaime Lannister kills the Mad King, which is really best for everybody. And then he's like so bogged down by public perception of it, he tends to just like act out of his like darkest shadow at times due to that.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. I thought you were going with like serial killer Dexter Morgan status, where he's
Ooh.
like, I got a little taste. Now I want some more.
It could be that too, because he is kind of like a loose screw.
Yeah. So what scene would you like to delete for more Cregan Stark?
I'm going to be honest with you. Some of the Daemon tripping at Harrenhal scenes, like they're not all worthy of screen time. I'm not saying like the really important ones should be cut out, but there were a couple of them that I'm like, okay, we get it. He's there. He's on the trip of a lifetime.
He's there. He's rare.
Yeah, like he's there. He's rare. He's on a trip of a lifetime. I got it. Everybody gets it. Either have something come from this hallucination or let's pack it up and move on.
I think they could have gotten rid of his mother.
Girl, I blocked that out of my mind. Like now that it's back in my mind, I'm like, let's get that back out of there. Let's shove that away. Let's shove that back into the burn pile.
Okay. The next one, and this is the last one. There's only 2. Would you rather see how Otto ended up in such a pickle or see Rhaena claim sheep stealer?
Oh, what do you mean? This isn't even a fair question. Oh, as much as it pains me to say this, I think I'm still going to go with Rhaena claim sheep stealer, only because I've been talking about this relentlessly for multiple weeks now. I even have it written down for this episode. Just let me see her claim this dragon. Stop drawing it out.
Yeah, no, it's a good choice. It's hard. That's a hard one.
It is. I am dying to see what old Otto did to get himself in that situation. Or maybe he didn't do anything. Maybe somebody, just had...
He just tripped, fell into a prison.
Like somebody got the jump on him. I don't know. Where do you think it happened? Do you think it happened on his way back? Or, well, no, because Gwaine... Wait, has anybody actually confirmed that Otto Hightower is back in Old Town? Or are we just working on the assumption that he's there? Because, he stormed off and was like, I'm going home.
See, this is the thing with this season. The way that the timing is, it's so screwy because you don't know how much time has actually passed. So, like, from the time that Otto left until episode 8, was it...
I'm not sure.
A month? Was it half a year? Like, I really can't be sure.
I'm also very unclear as to the distance between King's Landing and Old Town. Like, how long
I
does
look,
that journey take?
I'm unclear about King's Landing and Dragonstone because people are coming in and out left and right. I mean, one moment Alicent swimming in a field, and the next moment she's backstroking it all the way to Dragonstone, and really can't tell how much time that took because it all happens within one episode.
Right.
So
And
I don't know.
same with when Rhaenyra went to King's Landing, she pops over and then pops right back.
Yeah, security coming in and out of King's Landing and Dragonstone is really like F.
It's really shit.
Fail.
It's just terrible. Terrible security.
Is it wrong of me to think that if I were Rhaenyra, I would have imprisoned Alicent the moment she walked through the door?
No, that's not wrong.
Because then she has a hostage. She's all about, like not wanting to kill people.
Is Alicent a viable hostage though?
I think if Aegon was still in power, he might be more receptive to that, but not Aemond.
Not Aemond. You know who I think actually might be the most receptive to it is Otto. If he were still hand, that would be a perfect move because he's not trying. He's
Exactly.
got that whole Tywin Lannister thing about him, like you're not going to disrespect my house ever. But I just don't know if I could see Aemond caring,
Yeah,
especially not after Alicent declared her favorite child.
right? Helena for life.
uh,
I mean, same.
Same.
Like, oh, you didn't say what scene you would delete for getting to see Sheep Stealer being claimed.
I'm gonna go with delete Lord Tyland mud wrestling.
Lord Tyland, Saturday night WWE Raw
Yeah,
in the mud.
that scene was way too long. Way too long considering like how viable the real estate of time in this final episode is.
Girl, I don't even want to go there.
Right.
'Cause I'll just start snowballing. The, oh, okay, okay, okay. So, talking about Essos, I didn't mind that part very much. I enjoyed it visually, just as like, ooh, no new location. Ooh, it's actually shot in the day and there's color and it's not this like weird, muted, desaturized like setting
Yeah.
where I was like, okay, this is nice to look at. But yeah, it did go on a bit long.
Yeah, I get it in some ways. I guess the easiest way to put that is a lot of us have seen the Reddit post about how this season went and its episodes and stuff. So I get it because if they originally thought they'd have 10 episodes, yeah, then there is more time to include that. But I do think at like the shortened 8 episode length, they could have summarized that a little quicker than they did.
It felt like the majority of this episode, I was panicking watching how much time was left, which isn't a good way to watch the episode in retrospect because I was like, oh man,
I
we're more than halfway through. What's gonna happen? And then in the
Yeah.
back of my head, I was like, but at least we're gonna go back to Reyna, right? Like we'll probably at least see more of Sheep Stealer, right? Oh
Well, we
no.
got a few scenes of her raggedly running through the countryside trying to track this dragon. And then we saw a brief scene where they first see each other and then nothing else.
Yeah, and she had to have been out there running about for a while because she was dehydrated and like drinking the water from that stream, like she was dying of thirst. So maybe she's been out there for a couple of days. I mean,
It's really unclear.
she really is the least favorite child. Like Daemon doesn't care what she's doing. No one at the Vale like gives a crap that she's missing
Her
apparently.
own party
Like
doesn't seem to be very concerned that because like at first when the scene starts I'm like, okay, well, I guess she's gonna go and find the dragon. And then we get into it where we see her just running and running and running, and she's like been run ragged, she's out of breath, she's dying of thirst, I'm sure she's hungry. And then at some point I was like, did they really not register that she's not in the traveling party anymore? And if they
yeah.
did, do they just like not care?
I mean, the worst thing that could happen is she dies. Then we've got a problem between Rhaenyra and the Eyrie, right? Because like she's kind of important. I kind of feel like, well, maybe Daemon wouldn't be too bent out of shape about losing one of his daughters because does I
Does
don't know how much she cares about
any of his
his
children?
children. I mean, he's been busy. He's going through some things. Many hallucinations later. Speaking of Damon, I'm shocked that he once again did not have to take any accountability.
Nothing. I A part of me loves that for him, like how he's always able to slip himself right through the gates of accountability without actually having to do anything. He like we see it with his brother a few times, like with Viserys, like Daemon acts up and then Viserys gets upset, but then he forgives Daemon because, little baby Daemon. And now, Simon Strong's like, Rhaenyra, you gotta check out what's happening. There is treachery afoot. She shows up and luckily, he's done his ultimate trip at the werewood tree, his final trip. It just he is I don't even know what to say. Like I can't hate him for it because I do enjoy him as a character, but at the same time it's like, sir, you're so out of hand all the time.
I mean, seeing his hallucinations gives you like a pretty nice introspective look into the mind of Damon and what a place to be.
What
Like
a place.
I think with Damon though, wouldn't it be funny if like he just completely misinterpreted the Game of Thrones flash forward he saw? Because I have to put myself in the body of Damon, who Damon has never watched Game of Thrones because, yeah, but I have. So pretending that I haven't watched it, if I were Damon, I wouldn't know what any of that meant. I would have seen that naked blonde lady sitting on the ground and been like, Rhaenyra, is that you? And then I would have been like, yes, somehow it's all related to Rhaenyra. I shall follow you. That's how I interpreted Damon's interpretation until he was like, oh, I know what it all means. And we have to strive forward, even though it might be meaningless. Like, prophecy, tis fate.
Yeah, the Targaryens love to try and force a prophecy.
That's true.
They like to force them.
Right. And so far, I maybe this is why that whole prophecy scene was a little unclear to me because for the majority of like and we're going way back, right? We're going way back to Game of Thrones. Oftentimes the prophecy isn't technically wrong, but the interpretation is wrong, or the prophecy is just a farce.
Yeah.
Viserys sees Aemond sitting on the throne, right? His son that died. But then, like, we do have an Aemond that sits on the throne at one point. So technically, was it just a misinterpretation? But also, this whole Song of Ice and Fire prophecy, it's pretty unclear until Daemon must be the god's favorite because Damon's like, oh, I got it. Like straight implanted into his brain. By who? By the old gods? By Helaena? By Alice Rivers? Like, it's so unclear to me. And I guess that's fine because a lot of these like more magical elements don't really ever make sense. Like, you never really get those questions answered. But man, I'm really tired of not having those questions
Right?
answered.
Something that I was thinking about with like why Damon was provided with these visions from the werewood tree is that the gods are like, man, he is the slowest learner of the Targaryens. Like,
Right?
get
We've
him.
tried to
Oh my
drug
God, we've
him. We
tried
put him. We
everything.
gave
Just,
him a witch.
yeah, just get him over here. We'll just show him. How about that? We'll just show him.
Jump him in the parking lot via Werewood.
I have a more petty comment about his vision with the werewood tree, which is why did they give the Night King plastic surgery? They
He,
had actual footage of him from Game of Thrones. Why did they not just use it?
that's a very good point. He looks
The
Botox
side by
and so,
side buccal fat removal, Botox, filler. He had the works. He might have even had a
A
facelift.
bluff. I think there was a bluff. Night King, yeah, they should have reused the footage. Roll back the tapes. I mean, Game of Thrones Night King, he looked good.
He did.
That was good effects for that one.
This one looked like a child's drawing of the Night King.
like that amateur sketch.
Yes, an
of
amateur sketch of the Night King. One other thing I want to say is it's a good thing that Helaena was available for this hallucination, because I'm not sure how they would have really pulled this off if she hadn't been there at the end to speak to him. She's busy right now. Her brother is trying to force her into being a warrior that she is not feeling. Her mother wants to escape with her, and she's just kind of stuck there, having all these visions, feeling like pulled in every direction.
I feel bad for Helaena as a character. Just what a madhouse, Like, if I were her, I would have moved out the minute that I had the chance. But, oh, she has, duty, gotta procreate with her brother. What a weird life for her. Look, Alice Rivers seems to be doing a lot better for herself, in my opinion. The setting is a bit worse, like King's Landing, a little bit more cozy than Harrenhal, but I don't know. Alice Rivers, at least she can play with an owl and take walks and not be under the constant pressure of like living in a circus home. Like,
Constantly
it's a lot.
show up in people's bedchambers while they're asleep to just stand there ominously.
That's hilarious, honestly. Like, was she just chilling in Damon's bed or
That's kind of how it
what?
seems. Like she just scuttled on in and then waited for him to notice.
What a life. What a life. Harrenhal was, for me, one of the most interesting places and one of my least favorite places.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it. There was a lot that went on there that I really enjoyed, but at the same time, it
Same.
kind of felt overdone.
Yeah. And I understand them wanting to use the set because the set was awesome, but I feel like as soon as it was Daemon alone with the inner workings of his mind, then I was like, all right, let's speed things up. But Daemon with Oscar Tully, Daemon with Diva Simon Strong, Daemon with Alice Rivers, when he had other people to kind of react to, it was great.
Absolutely.
The tripping, I don't know. I like the way that you put it. It was just like fate trying to beat him down and be like, "Listen to us. Listen. You didn't get the first memo. Let's try again."
We're just going to do this over and over until you get it. Speaking of this scene, I'm interested to see how this all works out for Sir Alfred after his treacherous move to dispose Rhaenyra in favor of Daemon.
Oh man, Rhaenyra really has the worst counselors. The worst.
But, we got to give it up to the ultimate girl's girl, Simon Strong, for sending that raven in the first place.
What a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit early for this, but we haven't done a Smog Award in a while.
Ooh.
And for new people listening, we like to give an award to the most theatrical, like the namesake. Simon Strong is my Smog. He's everything. This entire season, he's not even the most important character, but the looks, the fashion icon, the side eyes, the happy clapping, he's everything.
I love him. He's been my favorite character so far.
Same. I would have enjoyed more time with him even. Like, you know what? Do a day in the life of Simon Strong. I would eat that up.
Happily.
Eat it up.
I would happily watch that.
So, I want to also talk about this scene with Crispy and Gwen.
Girl, what is happening? I just have one question. That's all. This is like the only thing that I really drew from this scene is, did Gwen go hostile over the favor or was it something else? Because first we see Crispy like fiddling with Alicent's favor, and then, Gwen's got a knife to him and is like, "What are you doing?" But then
what are you doing, panty sniffer?
yeah, but then in the background, The entire camp is at a standstill and all staring at the two of them. That's why I was like,
Yeah,
what even started this?
I don't know, unclear. I have to assume that they want us to believe that Crispy sniffing the favor like a weirdo was just too much. And Gwen was like, hey, what's going on with you and my sister? But also, oh God, I don't know. And then there's that whole exchange about honor and being a white cloak and sullying the cloak, even though, as we've seen the whole season, pretty much all of the white cloaks are doing that. So, like, who cares?
Yeah, vows of chastity don't go very far in this universe, so I don't know what Gawain is tripping about right now. He's just being unrealistic.
I don't know. Maybe he's not too in tune with how things really work
It seems to be
in
that
King's
way.
Landing. But also I still really like
So
Gwaine.
do
I
I.
like I like this actor a lot. He's one of the characters that I would also have loved more time with instead of oh man, instead of so much Alicent Rhaenyra drama. This is just me, okay? This is just me. But someone's family kills my child, right? And then, oh, before that, this woman sliced me with a blade. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of history and background for them to kind of be off and on and still maintaining a friendship. They're much better people than I. That's all I can say. They're much better people because I don't think I could have let something like that go.
No, I don't think I could have let it go, but I do live for their little situationship that they have going on.
I love how Alicent was like, "Come with me," and
Yeah.
Rhaenyra was like, "Again." What's with every person in her life being like, "Run away with me"? She's
Well,
like, "Yo, I've got duties."
if we look back to season one, wasn't it Rhaenyra that was like, we're just going to ride away on Syrax? They have the most intriguing relationship for me. Not like I'm really like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? But I just love how they keep being given reasons to absolutely despise each other, yet they keep running to each other. And obviously, because of that, we know the distance between King's Landing and Dragonstone is a trek that can be easily managed quickly.
I felt like this episode was very artistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of longing looks and like slow panning shots of people just gazing out into the sunset, which I guess for like a finale that's kind of nice, but I don't know. You want to know what my favorite two things about this episode were?
Yes, absolutely.
One, Sheep Stealer looks awesome.
Yeah, and it's a roar. I enjoy like the change. Like it has kind of a
The
more
roars?
guttural roar.
I'm evil, pure evil terror. And I love that. I going back talking about which dragons we would claim, I don't know. I might have to walk things back a little bit because this whole time I would have just picked the prettiest one, like a designer dragon. But after meeting Sheep Stealer, I was like, I don't know. That that's that's a dragon.
That's a street dragon.
He is. He is. So I liked that a lot. I also really enjoyed, like, not even really enjoyed, I loved the music as the finale ended. That whole, like, compilation of different themes from the different houses all kind of being, like, smashed together sounded really, really
I
cool.
agree. It did. I would say that some of my favorite moments were actually like Alicent finally standing up to Aemond and being like, enough is enough, bucko. You're not doing this. I really enjoyed that. And I think the other one is like, I really did enjoy Sir Simon Strong like rushing out to Rhaenyra and being like, "Yeah, there's danger afoot. Let's go see." And then afterwards, he just stood there like clapping happily, like, "Yes, it worked out. Finally, Daemon wasn't an asshole."
This whole season was elevated for me due to characters like Simon Strong, due to characters like Oscar Tully, due to characters like Cregan Stark, which I'm bummed that Winterfell was just that short scene and then it's gone. And I mean, I know next season we will have plenty of time, hopefully, with some of these characters, but even the dragon seeds, I still don't quite know how I feel about them.
Girl, I'll be honest with you. I'm really like over watching Ulf act out. Like, I don't know why there was so much focus on that this episode. I'm sure it'll have a role to play later on. Like the Lord Tyland and Admiral Lohar thing. It's like, I feel like we're doing too much here. There are other more pressing points that we could be focusing on.
Someone like Ulf, he's immediately just someone you understand. He's just a scamp. And that's pretty much like the epitome of his personality, right?
Yeah.
With someone like Adam of Hull or Alan of Hull or Ulf, or not Ulf, or
Q.
Hugh, I'm still kind of like, I want more. Like, I want to see the dynamic of these characters. I loved that we got that scene with Alan kind of telling Corlys off because feels. That was, I mean, a really strong scene. But besides, like, this whole factor of him, like we were fatherless and that affected us. I would love to know who this person is. And it's really hard for me because I've been having that same thought with many of our, season 1 characters as well. Like Helaena, I still don't feel like she's more than just a plot pusher. Let's do something for the plot, but not so much, she's not really much as a character. And it sucks for me because I'm maybe too invested in like her abilities, if that makes
It does.
sense.
It makes sense. I know what you're saying. And I would definitely agree. I wish that she had a larger role to play and we got to spend more time with her.
Yeah, it's almost just like she's there to be terrorized or to have a vision. And besides that, I don't know much about her. And oh, I'm going to say it again. I don't mean to harp on it, but when you're kind of building up an entire show based on two women, pretty much like the heads of two families having beef with one another in a very like the Hatfields and the McCoys,
Okay.
when you're focusing the whole season on these two women and their troubles, I guess, troubles and friendship or whatever you want to call it. You're saying to the audience, like, this is a female empowered, like, show with, like, strong leads. We've got a lot of women in the cast who are playing these very important roles. And I mean, I know Emma Darcy goes by they, so I'm not trying to, like, misgender anyone. But in terms of the characters, it's looking like, hey, like let's focus in on what the life is like for these people. What are their problems? How do they overcome? What's standing in their way? Why do they make the decisions that they make? And essentially, all I can tell is like it keeps coming back to like the crown and family. And I would love to know like what Rhaenyra thinks about like different policies. Like she's going to be the queen. Like what does she stand for besides, not wanting to roast an entire city? How does she feel about things when it doesn't come to like child rearing and her husband, Like
Right.
it feels so like surface level with some of these characters and it's hard because I can't stop comparing it to how like multifaceted the characters in a Game of Thrones were. The difference between Sansa and Arya, Lady Brienne, Cersei, it's such a dynamic cast of characters with different motivations and different thoughts and different upbringings. And here it just kind of like there wasn't enough time to explore that all, which
Yeah. No, I
sucks.
I do agree completely with that. There was a different level of character building in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I keep going back to the women of this show because the way that it was marketed,
Right.
right? Like,
And I can also see where like coming out of the same universe, expecting that same level of character building.
right. Game of Thrones, that's a tough act to follow, really. Not looking at how it ended, but like the build up of that show, it's really like a once in a lifetime thing. So I recognize that my like comparison might be a little bit unfair. but I wouldn't care if I didn't have some type of interest in the characters, which I do. I think with this finale, though, I'm really hoping that the next, oh my God, next season, 2 years later, it comes out swinging.
Me too. I keep trying to ignore that it's going to be 2 years from now,
Oh
though.
my God.
So you had brought up Corlys earlier, and I kind of wanted to swing back around to him for a second, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
First of all, Corlys, why are you still lying about those bastards? Isn't that kind of a moot point now after Rhaenyra put a bunch of bastards on dragons, including one of your children?
Mm-hmm.
But then she's like, well, you know Adam of Hall, and he's like, yeah, he works for me. And then he just kind of leaves it at that instead of just telling her the truth. And then he renames the ship the Queen Who Never Was, and it is a tender moment, but at the same time it's like, dude, it's a little bit in the realm of too little too late. Like, you made it all about you while she was alive, and it took Rhaenys dying for you to be like, you know what, maybe I should think about her more.
Yeah, think about her more, take her advice, give something to these men who he fathered but didn't father.
Yeah, especially if
Like,
you're trying to put one of them at the seat of Driftmark. Like, you better figure this out. You better start walking this path a little better. But I will say this, the advice that he gives Rhaenyra about not sitting on this situation is solid advice.
absolutely, absolutely agreed, 1,000%.
Aemond is out here on an image destroying campaign. His PR is garbage. Sharp's point is done. All because he felt insulted and his feelings were hurt. Aegon is down for the count. Whether he can get around and wake up is irrelevant to that he is not in any position to be ruling the Seven Kingdoms right now. And then you have Helaena, who is legitimately no warrior. And then we have Daeron,
Darius,
whatever his name is,
Durian, Durian,
Dustin.
Dudley,
uh, is it Darius?
Darren,
Darren.
Darren.
Darren. Okay, then we have Darren, who is still pretty young. As they say, Tessarion has just taken a wing. There aren't really a lot of Targaryens slash high towers that are really up for this job.
No, it's a mess. I mean, the whole side of the Greens is a mess.
Yes.
I have to give that back to Alicent because when I said, like, I don't know if I'd be able to find it in my heart to forgive, but maybe it's just desperation.
You know what?
Like maybe she's putting that aside because she's desperate.
You know what I was surprised that she could find it in her heart to do was agree to kill Aegon. Now,
That was wild.
do I understand why she came to Rhaenyra? Because Rhaenyra was like, here you are, trying to have it all. And I get it. Alicent's trying to rectify the situation while not serving up her children as fodder for it. But at the same time, Rhaenyra is not wrong. If she is to assume power, she's going to have to end Aegon publicly.
The problem is, though, is that if she kills Aegon, then there's Aemond. If they kill Aemond, then there's Darius. If they, like, if they kill him, I guess, like, you gotta kill them all, right?
I guess, but I don't. Aemon's really the problem. Like, he is more the problem than any of them are, because isn't Aegon's now over in Essos, or no, he's over in Bravos with Lord Larys, which
On their chicken truck or whatever.
whatever they're doing. I do find it curious, though, that Lord Larys was like, let's pack up and go. Like, why is he so personally invested in Aegon?
I mean, if it were me, he's a pretty great hostage.
That's true.
Whoever wins the throne are going to be wanting him.
Ooh, that's a good thought.
Rhaenyra wins it, he can be like, hey, 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 pardon me, look what I got you, a gift. If the Greens somehow manage to win, he could be like, hey, look at me, I saved the day. He's fine. I saved him.
Yeah, no, that's a good point to bring up. It covers him on both sides. I do love a character that plays both sides to make sure that their house comes out okay in the end.
Me too, me too. Another character I would have loved to see more from, Lord Larys.
Yeah, actually, that I would have liked to see more out of that little plot line too.
Not enough time. There's not enough time. I think this episode felt like an episode 8. you know? Like it didn't quite feel like a finale.
I would agree.
If you took away like the the soundtrack and stuff, like in the way that it ended,
Like the little ending montage.
yes. But I don't know.
I do have a question for you. What
Yes.
are some things that you would like to see next season, regardless of whether they may or may not happen?
Oh. Okay. So, I mean, obviously, sheep stealer
Yeah, that's the
claiming.
top of my list.
Also, I assume we're going to see more battles because the end of this episode was like everyone strapping up.
Right.
But the Greybeards from Winterfell, I would have loved to meet a couple new characters in that group. That way, when they're established later and they actually become important to the show, instead of just marching, we could be like, oh, okay, like this guy, that guy, I remember them. It would have been the same way with the dragon seeds. Like, had they been introduced a little bit last season, even if we didn't know why, where it was just like 5 minutes here, 3 minutes there, one episode where we get to see these people and be like, okay. Then you get to next season, you're like, I remember them. They were important for some reason. We've seen them before. Something like that, which I know they don't typically do very often because you have to pay actors to
Right.
like make sure that you can get them for the next season. But something like that would be cool. I do feel that attachment to, House Stark where I'm like, yes, come on, Greybeards. Let's see the Wolves of Winterfell. Next season, I think I would just like to see more locations. I would also be really excited to see Corlys versus the Essos fleet because that just, I don't know, we didn't get a lot of that in Game of Thrones, not very many sea battles, so that might be
That would
kind
be
of
super
cool.
cool. I am expecting sea battles, at least a couple scenes.
Yeah. What about you?
I actually, and I don't think this is going to happen, but I would really enjoy watching Helaena and Alicent flee away on Dreamfire.
That would be great.
I've had a lot of not great things to say about Alicent over the course of this season, but that doesn't mean I like want to watch her die a horrible death. I do get like her motivations and they make sense. I just think that she acts like, back when she was letting her religious motivations get in the way as well, there were a lot more bad decisions made. But now that she's kind of like came back off of that and been like, you know what, I really just want my kids to live and I want to live and I want to be able to have a life of my own. I would love nothing more than to see her and Helaena flee away from all of this mess and tragedy and upset that's happening and like let them just live their own lives.
Yeah. I that would be so great,
Helena
actually.
Helena has it hard enough without the pressures of her, ridiculous siblings.
Agreed. Agreed. Something tells me there will be no happy endings in this
For
show, but
anyone.
but I keep watching. I keep watching.
Sad endings all around.
But that, wraps up our final episode of the season. If you are listening and you enjoyed these videos with me and Laura, make sure you like and subscribe because we will keep doing them. We'll probably cover some other series here and there, but we will definitely be doing A Night of the Seven Kingdoms when that comes out next year.
And you know what my first thought was? Maybe we might cover, and I was like, Dune Prophecy.
This is now the Dune channel.
This is now a Dune Prophecy channel.
When does that come out? We should cover it.
November.
Ooh, okay. All right. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Well, that wraps things up. Thanks for listening, and we will see you back next time.